Hey, what is up guys? 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢 here, and today I wanted to talk about camera upgrades. As a camera gear reviewer, I try to keep up with the latest camera gear news, and that often leads to me being really tempted to upgrade. And for 2 weeks in December, I had the opportunity to test out a loaner copy of the Sony a1 Mark II, and today I want to give you my first impressions of this $6,500 camera and why I almost bought it. First, let's start taking a look at some of the photos and videos I got with this camera. In the 2 weeks I had it, I shot over 8,000 photos and 1,100 of those were delivered to my clients, and I have to say, the photos out of this camera look stunning. And on top of that, I also shot a mix of 8K and 4K sample videos for some YouTube videos and for personal memories, and I think that the footage just looks incredible. The dynamic range coming from this sensor is just that much wider, giving the scenes more details in the highlights and the shadows. And when shooting in 8K, even though I knew I'd be able to punch in like 4 times with very little image quality loss, I was still blown away by just how much detail is captured by this sensor. While 8K is probably not going to be in my workflow anytime soon just because of how much storage it eats up, it's incredible to actually get to play around with this footage and see what this camera can produce. Overall, shooting with the Sony a1 Mark II was an incredible experience and made me ask myself, should I buy one of these? Here are all of the amazing specs from the Sony a1 Mark II that had me hooked. The build quality and design of the camera is by far one of my favorites to date from Sony. It just fits right in my hands. There were dials and buttons for everything I wanted to change at a whim, whether that's the drive mode or focus mode, and guys, the freaking multi-angle flip out screen. I know it seems wild to care this much about a flip out screen, and I'm not saying drop $6,000 so that you can have this multi-angle flip out screen, but comparing it to shooting on something like the a7C Mark II with its normal flip out screen, that one just feels bad to go back to now, considering this flip out screen can literally go in any single angle. So whether I'm shooting super down low, horizontal or vertical, or super up high and I'm looking up at the screen, it just feels so much more intuitive to shoot with. And again, as someone coming from an a7C Mark II, the viewfinder on the Sony a1 Mark II is just incredible. It's the same as the a7R5's EVF with 0.9 times magnification and 9.4 million dots. And when you compare that to the a7C Mark II's 0.7x magnification and 2.3 million dot EVF, it's just a night and day difference of how much better you get to see the image you're shooting when you're looking through the bigger viewfinder. On top of that, it has a host of other flagship features that makes this camera the most complete camera that I've ever seen from Sony. It's got pre-shooting for wildlife and sports photographers. It has the same insane autofocus processor as the Sony a9 Mark III, but with the added ability to automatically detect what kind of subject it's shooting. It can shoot in 8K 30 frames per second with 10-bit 422 color depth with incredible dynamic range. It has the best Sony in-body image stabilization performance of up to 8.5 stops of stabilization, and the list goes on. And with all of those reasons, I was so tempted to just check out with one of these in my cart, but then I started asking myself, is there anything that I can't do currently with my a7C Mark II, my ZV-E1, my a7S III, my FX30 that would be enabled by this camera? And I really gave this some thought because I shoot a mixed bag of photography and videography niches, from weddings to commercial campaigns to portraits to YouTube and social media content to personal content. And while I'd love, honestly, the quality of life upgrades that come with this flagship camera, after realizing it wouldn't actually change the way I shoot, nor would it allow me to do anything that I couldn't before, I thought I'll probably just save the money this time around. And honestly, I've been loving the value cameras that Sony has been releasing over the past few years. The Sony ZV-E1 and the Sony a7C Mark II are both incredible value cameras, basically being mini a7S IIIs and mini a7 IVs respectively. And they let me shoot everything I want to shoot with incredible image quality, all at a fraction of the cost. And with the Sony A1 Mark II being priced at $6,500, it's a big investment for any photographer. And I mean, obviously, it's not meant to be a value option at all. It is the flagship camera. And if you want a darn near perfect camera, you're really not going to be disappointed if you pick one of these up. At the same time though, if you're willing to wait a little while longer, or maybe a lot while longer, whenever the Sony a7 IV comes out, I'm pretty sure it's going to be packed with at least some of these features that everyone's loving from the A1 Mark II, and again, at a fraction of the cost. If you're interested in checking out the Sony A1 Mark II, links will be in the description down below. That's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to get subscribed because I think there's going to be a lot of fun videos coming this year. Let me know in the comment section down below on what you think of the Sony A1 Mark II, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Peace.